For every swing, every moment, the Milwaukee Brewers fight. It's not just about hitting the ball, it's about leaving a legacy.
The temperature just spiked out of nowhere, and I'm not talking about the weather outside, but rather the phones ringing off the hook inside the American Family Field offices, because the situation involving Freddy Peralta has gone from a mere hallway rumor to the most serious conversation of this offseason. What I've heard and what is circulating with full force right now is that the price has been set, and Matt Arnold is not playing games. Forget that idea of trading our ace for a package of prospects that might pan out 3 or 4 years from now. The front office has put their cards on the table very clearly. If anyone wants to take Peralta out of Milwaukee, they're going to have to deliver a young pitcher who is already major league ready. That is right, we are talking about immediate help, someone who can take the ball and step into the rotation on day one of the 2026 season. This stance completely changes the market dynamic because it signals that the Brewers are not giving up on competing now, but rather trying to execute that competitive maintenance we saw in the Corbin Burns trade. Ken Rosenthal and Will Salmon from The Athletic dropped this bombshell over the weekend, and the read I get is that we are witnessing a high-stakes chess match. Freddy's contract is team-friendly but short, and his agency, Aces, has made it clear in the past that they know how to play hardball when it comes to contract extensions, which puts Milwaukee in a delicate position. Hold on to the player and risk losing value, or capitalize now that the pitching market is inflated. And before I continue with this analysis on which teams can actually pay this steep price, I want to invite you who lives and breathes the Brewers to subscribe to the channel right now, because with spring training knocking on the door, the news is going to arrive at an insane speed, and I do not want you to miss any exclusive details. Getting back to the point, the demand for an immediate replacement drastically narrows the list of interested parties because few teams have this profile of asset sitting on their roster or at the top of their minor league system. What catches my attention is the audacity of this ask. We know Peralta has his days of inconsistency, but when he is on, he is electric, and the market knows that. We are talking about a pitcher who brings strikeouts in bunches. The front office knows that teams desperate for rotation help, like the Mets or the Red Sox, might end up caving. The backstage intel suggests that Milwaukee wants to repeat the formula for success that brought us Joey Ortiz and DL Hall. It is not about dismantling the team, but about rejuvenating the payroll while keeping the competitive ceiling high. It is a fine, dangerous line, but if it works, it keeps us at the top of the Central Division without mortgaging the financial future. Now, the big question hammering in my head is whether there is in fact a trade partner willing to part with an elite talent controllable for years in exchange for just one guaranteed year of Freddy. When we look at potential partners, all eyes turn to Queens, because the New York Mets seem to be the team best positioned to meet this specific demand from the Brewers without blinking. The chatter behind the scenes is that while their top prospect, Nolan McLean, might be off the table, there is a depth of pitching there that fits perfectly into what Matt Arnold desires. Names like Brandon Sproat and Jonah Tong emerge as central pieces in this negotiation. Both reached the big leagues last season and showed they have the stuff to establish themselves. And there is still Christian Scott, who, despite recovering from Tommy John surgery, has a skill ceiling that would make any scout salivate. If I am the Brewers GM, I would be looking very fondly at these names, especially knowing that Scott has already proven he can eliminate elite hitters before the injury, but we cannot ignore the other sharks in the water. The Atlanta Braves, the Boston Red Sox, the New York Yankees, and of course, the Los Angeles Dodgers have also been cited as possible destinations, and each has their trade chips. In the Dodgers' case, the list of young arms is enviable with names like River Ryan, Emmett Sheehan, and Gavin Stone. The problem here is the recent injury history of these kids, which adds a layer of risk that I do not know if Milwaukee would be willing to take on right now. Boston, on the other hand, could offer Peyton Toll or Connolly early, interesting lefties who would fit well in our ballpark. The Brewers' strategy seems to be creating a bidding war where the winner is not who pays the most money, but who offers the highest certainty of immediate performance. This is smart, but also dangerous. If you trade Freddy and the kid who comes in return does not perform right away, the fan base is going to riot, and rightfully so. My view on this is very pragmatic. I love Freddy. He has been the Latin heart of this team for years, but baseball is a cruel business. If we can get a young guy with 6 years of contract control and ace potential in exchange for 1 year of Peralta, that is the kind of move that keeps the championship window open longer. The New York Mets, with the pressure to win now under Steve Cohen's ownership, might be the ideal partner because they need certainty on the mound and have the human capital to spend. How this soap opera unfolds will dictate the tone of our 2026 season. If this trade happens, expect a swift and surgical move in the coming weeks. Analyzing coldly this aggressive stance by the Brewers in asking for ready-made MLB talent shows that the front office does not accept a transition year. They want to compete and believe they can transform an asset that is depreciating contractually into long-term gold. The question I leave for you is, would you trade the certainty of having Freddy Peralta on the mound on opening day for a young talent like Christian Scott or Brandon Sproat betting on the future? I want to see your honest opinion in the comments because this is a decision that divides the fan base. Do not forget to follow the channel because as soon as any piece moves on this board, I will be back here to break it all down.